Bedroom talk.
Bedroom talk.
Welcome to our bedroom.
Um, so our first our first bedroom talk that we did, my cousin had posed the question um, about the
Let's just read it.
talking about the wall. How do you keep those people that fly in or come in the ship? How do you keep them out when they come here if they're illegal and they manage to stay? You don't hear anything about that. So they're basically overstaying their visas.
Right. And it's true. We don't hear very much about that. And it's a big problem because a lot of the concern people have is over terrorist attacks. And as far as I know, every one of the terrorist attacks that we had that was a foreign born person came in legally with a visa, overstayed their visa, and ended up, they didn't swim across the Rio Grande, they didn't climb over some wall. So I did a little research to find out, and they didn't. Actually, I don't think Homeland Security. Well, they didn't worry about it much until the terrorist attacks. Then they started looking into it. I don't think they did a complete study until 2009. Homeland Security did a study, and so this is how it breaks down. It's pretty simple. People that are coming in, they're coming in legally because they have visas and such.
They're coming in through the airports,
right? And if you've traveled through the airport in the last number of years, you realize you now have to have a passport that has a stripe in it, and they scan it, and there's fingerprints, and there's all kinds of things. So it's much, much more secure. They know who's here. They also know who leaves and when they leave, if they leave through a port or an airport. Question is, what do you do about the ones that don't leave? And there's quite a few that don't leave.
Well, but you can leave. I know that you can leave from California into the Mexican border. You can leave, but you got to make sure you have your passport to come back.
That's right. If you come across into the United States, they check everything. If you go from the United States to Mexico, you might get stopped. They might look at your car to see what you're bringing in.
And they'll just ask you, so where are you headed?
Right. So we have a good record of people that are taking airplanes out, going out through the ports, but crossing the borders, both into Canada and to Mexico, is dependent on the government they're going into to report back to us. And evidently, neither one of them are very good. I know from experience, Mexico doesn't.
Well, but you get, and that's just it. Because I know that when I went to Canada earlier this year, you have to scan your passport so they know that you've come in. And then too, same thing when you leave, you scan it again. So they're doing a pretty good job.
So they have it on that side.
Yeah, they do have it on that side from the airport.
Oh, well, the
and
airport,
then too, but even when you try and cross the border into Canada, from what I understand, I think you have to show your passport to get into Canada.
Anyways, they need to get much better at that. Once people are in the U.S., if they have a work visa, they have some record of where they're going to work. If they, some places they have to fill out paperwork that says, where they're going and what they're doing. Some places like Europe, they come in and it's just a vacation visa, and you can go travel anywhere. So if they stay, they're not easy to find, and they're not easy to deal with if they've overstayed their visas. So we don't have a good method. Hopefully they get better at it. They do know who's here. It's just a matter of knowing who left and when they left and where they are if they didn't leave.
Yeah. Well, then that's what
more difficult.
Somehow they need to do some follow-up that if your visa has expired, nobody's tracking that. So
or some itinerary
on your door.
itinerary of saying where you're going to be, and you can try and find them. And I think they need to enforce those quickly,
Yeah.
not wait until somebody's here, for months and months and months over their visa, and then they're more difficult to deal with. So probably not a good complete answer, but I think it's a fairly accurate answer. So,
Well, yeah, just did. We do.
but we need
Not doing a good job of it yet.
There's a whole lot more about the immigration thing we need to talk about. We need to talk about
The wall.
the wall and why we're putting a wall in Mexico and not in Canada. We need to talk about the whole thing of breaking up families and talking about deporting people. It's a mess, and it's a big deal, and it's not easy to figure all that stuff out.
I don't know. Mexico's already got a good start. Every time I cross that border, they've got that brand new wall that they've been building.
The wall in
So it's already almost across the California border.
Yeah, it's you're not coming across that wall at Tijuana.
No,
it's big. It's impenetrable. It's
high,
and and crossing the border is much more involved. When I was a kid and we crossed, you walked across and they said, "What country are you from?" Right. They stopped me. I was a kid and they said, "What's your nationality?" I said, "Spanish," because my parents always told me Spanish heritage. My parents go, "What? Is that your parents?" "Yes." "Okay, you can go." But now it's, you got to get your birth certificate. You got to go down. Birth certificate's not good enough anymore. Now you have to have a passport and have all your papers in order, and it's much more secure. So, more next time.
Okay.
All right.
Night.
Good night.